No, you're right. And I think next up we have the Bobby YCZ set, or because this is a Canadian event, YCZ. Uh,
Yeah. I was raised to say Z. Like we never really did see Z.
oh
Say
really?
Z. I
Oh
like at
my
least.
my. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I like at least like yeah. Like I feel like my parents always said Z, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know when the change happened.
My parents made a big more so my mother, but made like a huge effort to make me say Z all the time. It's like you're Canadian, say it properly. Um, so I'll be going Fox here, which is an
Whoa.
interesting decision. I wonder why he opted to do this, but um, especially because this matchup can be pretty uncomfortable if you're not ready for it from Fox's end.
I would
Good
actually
tech.
say that like Falco, I think Falco like messes up Samus, and I think Fox wins the matchup, but it's like very, very hard to play it correctly. And Falco, it is not hard to play it correctly in my opinion. Maybe it's just because I think I like am pretty solid at this matchup, but like the way you combo Samus as Falco is essentially the same as how you combo any floaty, whereas Fox has to be very aware of the way Samus plays and play around that. Otherwise, they're going to have this happen where that almost could have been a stock.
It was an interesting up B. I guess was expecting Bobby to go out there and do something. So the main things I notice in this matchup is like a lot of Fox's follow-ups, like you said earlier, don't really work on Samus in the same way that they have. Like the up throw up air doesn't work, and the wave shines can get hard, especially with the SDI. So what I look for when I play this matchup as Fox is lots of grabs, because Samus is going to be camping shield a lot. What was that side B
While
trying
you've
to
been
do?
talking about this, YCZ has just been kind of showing off a little bit, really creative with some of the punishes, very aware of what Bobby wants to do in those defensive situations in particular, and kind of able to like trick Bobby in the punish, which is kind of something I associate with Samus's like, I mean, that's part of like the hugs branding, but you kind of have to play like smart to make Samus work.
Yeah, well, if the Fox is like playing it in a way where they're not giving you the stuff for free and they're not like undershooting all their aerials, you do have to like Samus has some awful approach tools. Her jump is pretty bad. Her aerials are okay. At least they're okay in terms of their like their reward. Bobby messing around by the ledge and getting punished for it hard. I'm surprised he keeps going over there. Like, yeah,
I'm
that's
just so
tough.
surprised he's playing Fox. Like, I wonder if it was just like a sub goal or something. I wonder if he's been playing Fox in most of the tournament, just because. Yeah, like I don't think this is a good matchup. Like not like a good matchup. I think it actually is a good matchup. But I think like if you are a Falco main, this is not something that becomes easier by playing Fox. That's for sure.
It's not a Jigglypuff or a Peach matchup, like where the matchup does get considerably easier. I think if you do.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple times now where Bobby has like successfully baited the grab from YCZ. Oh, that's tough. And side B to ledge, yep. Yeah, that doesn't work quite as well with Fox as it does with Falco, and YCZ taking the first game.
And you'll notice there, YCZ actually kind of waited basically as late as possible to cover the side B, just trying to kind of optimize as much as possible the kind of like, hey, look, this option is open. Like the ledge is open. Come in, come in, come in. And then as soon as they're like, I'm coming, like it's like, sorry, man, like you got baited. So good stuff from YCZ. Just those small things are like you see more often from top players.
I think that is something that is really underrated in edge guarding in general, is like not giving the game away too quickly,
Yes.
So back to Yoshi's story, which I feel like FD is generally considered the pick because of how bad Samus's jump is, but Yoshi's does get you that early kills with the added benefit, I guess, from Samus, that she can kind of contest the side and the top platform pretty well here.
Absolutely. I'm gonna actually check on Bobby's stream and see if this is like because I just don't understand this fit. It doesn't seem like it has to be like a sub goal thing or something, right? Like just because like you said, it's not something like not something that Bobby would work on and be like, yeah, this is going to help me in the future against Samus. Like, I feel like you're fine to play Falco here.
Yeah, I feel like it's honestly just vibes. Like, that's how I feel about it. You probably just like, I want to play Fox right now, and that was where it came from, I think. Ugh.
Yeah, that's, I mean, absolutely possible. But either way, you know, it hasn't been so bad. I think that's, you know, because Bobby's a very capable player. But still, I also just love seeing this matchup with Falco because I really do think Falco, like, if you play it properly, it's just rough. And I actually think even though Bobby, you might not think of as this kind of like defensive floaty, like good against floaties player, I feel like we see him against ycz6 employing a lot of the stuff that I think does pretty well against Samus as well.
I've had some evil sets with Bobby before. They are really tough against his Falco. No, and I think that was a really interesting down smash. I think ycz6 was just not ready for Bobby to go out there and do that. You know, Bobby is good at, like, I think in general in Melee, two of the things that probably the two most important things to be good at in Melee, which is moves really fast and he hits really hard with all of his characters. You know, like, obviously going for the outplay is really important, but I think generally if you move fast and hit hard, like, opportunities will present themselves to you, and if you can convert well enough off of them, then you'll probably win anyway.
Yeah, that has been something that Melee has rewarded for, like, quite a long time. You know, we talked before about sort of like the amount of rock, paper, scissors situations that happen. Whenever you have speed and you're playing rock, paper, scissors games really quickly, it becomes much harder to still play in an unpredictable way. And so then you can kind of if I just say to you, like, some random guy, like, quick, 5 games of rock, paper, scissors right now, they're probably going to throw a couple rocks there just because they're like, I don't know. And that's what kind of Fox is so good at doing. It's just being like, hey, I'm playing so fast. You better think quickly or I'm just going to win purely on that alone.
Like look at this. Bobby just did 5 rapid fire options, and ycz, this game is definitely like seeing stars with the Samus, you know?
I think it's like a hard thing, although that was a very important F tilt. It's a hard thing to answer that specific problem because both as a player and sometimes as a character, you don't have an answer. Like, let's say, for example, you're playing a Fox who's just known for being very, very, very fast, and you think, okay, can I outspeed them? Sometimes, even if you're a Fox player, the answer is no. And then if you're a Samus player, the answer is, like, definitely no. So you have to figure out, like, okay, what do I do instead of that? And ycz is an experienced player. They are figuring out a way to kind of slow this down a little bit, playing by the edge, playing patiently, but Bobby isn't kind of biting either.
Using that light shield on the side plat very effectively to prevent Bobby from either poking and pushing themselves off stage so Bobby can't follow up with a grab or anything either.
Still, this is what I'm saying, actually. ycz is so patient, opting to kind of like give away a bit of shield health and play really slow, but use that kind of frankly fantastic recovery to somehow turn this into a much closer game. Oh, is that?
Yeah, I think that Bobby has been recovering quite well, doing the slight angle up to go to side flat, making it very hard for ycz to cover.
Colin, that's it each time, and it's not. It's just so close, man.
Oh, one more hit. It's basically next hit wins right here, you know? Any first substantial hit.
The widescreen stuff is I'm like, oh my gosh, what?
And then it ends with ycz throwing themselves off stage and not recovering. Which, you know, sometimes that's it.
Sometimes it happens, and I always think mental game. Like, you know, like, is ycz like, man, I worked so hard, I put in all this time, it looked winnable, and then I just kind of like go out with a whimper. What, like, does that kind of shake you as a player, or do you just kind of go, okay, actually I kind of showed, like, the opposite, like, I showed it was winnable, I almost won a game that looked like bad for me? Do you know what I mean?
And also, as the lower seeded player, you know, you can't be too upset about the potential. Like, if you almost do it, you have very little to lose by losing that set, you know?
For sure. Interesting color switch here.
ycz also is green on Yoshi's. I think ycz is trying to, like, get the edge by camouflaging.
wondered that. It's like there's something to be said about it. Like it's a little harder to see. Playing around the grab very well. Up air, not really a thing you can reliably do against Samus in the same way.
Yeah, what I like to do in that spot as Fox is, you know, you up throw Samus, or you can either throw her off stage if the positioning is good, but if you have to throw her up, you throw her up, and then try to bait her into using her jump and her bombs, and then you can actually try to hit her in, like, the lag, basically, or after she's used enough resources.
I think that down smash was just a little bit slow, and Bobby able to get a buffered roll out of there.
That was the same angle I was talking about earlier, like the slight angle up that is quite hard for a lot of characters to cover. Especially if you don't have a move that is out for a really long time, like a Fox or Falco back air, you know? Bobby also implying the light shield very well, but still YCZ pushes him off and then gets the kill anyway. That's interesting. The back throw mix-up was good there, but didn't get anything off of it.
Nice up B though. Kind of shake Bobby off. Both players still kind of trading. At this point, usually we see Samus's openings end up being more meaningful openings, whereas Fox can kind of run around, just sort of build up chip damage, kind of like we're seeing, and ends up closing it out there. Beautiful.
Good up air, or up tilt up air. That combo really underrated in a lot of matchups. You can kill characters like Peach or Puff with that at 40 sometimes.
Lovely. Just like truly insane sometimes what Fox can get away with, but I can't speak as a Falcon man. This is very, very, very favored for Bobby so far. Just kind of making it look easy, to be honest. Like after two very, very, very tight games, feels like Bobby has really sort of developed a more kind of efficient game plan. Ends up just getting a lot of good trades and building up damage, and it's just taking Bobby so far. Even manages to get back there.
Yeah, Bobby is kind of going turbo and just running YCZ over, like not giving YCZ any time to think. Probably must be like pretty. I know from experience playing against Bobby, it's very, very frustrating to have him just move around really fast and hit you with moves, and you're like, how did I get hit by that? Like nair as Samus at 30, like that shouldn't work, but it did.
Yeah, definitely Bobby making use of edge cancels and stuff a lot. And just kind of moving in ways you wouldn't expect. Like gets an opening and then kind of runs away, and then like YCZ is probably like expecting the sort of the second attack and it doesn't come. It's just a very like strange rhythm to adapt to. Also pretty good at the edge guards against Samus, I must say. Like it's not often you see Foxes kind of threaten the Samus as well as Bobby has been doing.
Yeah, I think that's a, you know, like even though your reward off of getting a shine on characters like Samus Below Edge aren't as good, you know, it's still like, if you have invincibility and Samus is right there, you can just shine her, and there's not much she can do about that. And like you get one more rep because she's flustered about getting shined. You know, then she's actually dead, and that's obviously a good spot for you. That DI on the back throw will or back air will lead to the kill though in the game.
Yeah, you know, and we mentioned before about like not giving the game away on recovery. We saw YCZ kind of doing that again, like these baits to kind of give Bobby the feeling that a side B is safe and then immediately kind of cover it. But Bobby's play kind of closing it out anyway, you know, just very, very clean movement.
Game 4, again on Fountain. Let's see what YCZ does here. I don't know what these fairs are trying to do. Maybe, like, I guess catch a jump, but they feel relatively low reward and also very punishable. You know, sorry, go ahead.
Well, one of the problems I think is that there isn't a super, like, high reward option at the lower percents. It feels like, you know, I'm not a Samus main. Obviously, you can go for things like down smash and stuff, but, like, obviously that's, like, pretty high risk. And so in terms of things that are like safe, maybe forward air is something that's like, okay, maybe I can catch the Fox, get a bit of damage, and then kind of get into the percents where I can actually get something more juicy.
No, that's definitely true. It does feel though that, you know, giving the game away by jumping there is just a little too risky, especially because Samus wants to use that ASCI down and her good like boxing tools like her F tilt and her jab, you know.
Nice downward angle F smash, by the way. I wonder if that was a straight one, if it wouldn't have covered.
read there, and it definitely got YCZ the kill there. So Bobby, I think something that we kind of have neglected to talk about here is Bobby's drift on his aerials against Samus is so good. Like, he's putting himself in spots where it's a lot harder for Samus to punish.
Every once in a while, Samus does something where you're just like, not really worth. That grab did something right there. But yeah, you're right. The drift, excuse me. Kind of one of the tools that you can do to be tricky. Love that kind of counter to the light shield with the edge cancel shine. And that's actually something just in general, like pushing people off the platform when they're shielding or off the edge, that I think we don't really see enough. And it's very, very good.
I've been actually labbing recently. You can push characters with long legs off of the stage, and if they get pushed into tumble because they're facing toward you and falling off backwards, you can rest their legs.
With another cursed Jigglypuff innovation.
Yeah.
Ooh, beautiful nair too. I'm talking about drift again, like just being able to get all the way out there and still kind of clip him with the nair. The classic recovery. Interesting spot dodge too. I wonder what Bobby was anticipating there.
Maybe, I don't know if that beats the up B there, but maybe just like a force of habit, you know, you do like an unsafe aerial as a spacey in front of another character, you're like, I gotta spot dodge, I gotta hope that they try to grab late and get eaten by the spot dodge, you know?
That actually is the sign of like decent matchup experience, is knowing, oh my gosh.
Just work?
Well, you know, amplifying, I believe, both the damage and the knockback. Certainly the damage is doubled, making Super Missile quite strong. Look at this stock here. Yeah, that was the opening that YCZ needed, but second chance at life, and now we're back to a pretty close game. Love the forward throw, especially with how good the upgrades have been.
So Samus's sweet spot back air, I believe, actually has the most knockback of any aerial in the game.
That's crazy.
Which is, you saw it there, you know, he got hit by 50 off stage, and it wasn't even that he couldn't get back, he was just dead. I'm surprised that YCZ isn't pulling the trigger on the up B on the jabs there, you know, that feels like a pretty safe thing, but again, it's nervous gameplay from YCZ here. Up air, and that should be the kill. Great tech chase. What? Oh my god, Bobby. I thought we were going to go to a game 5 there for a second because Bobby just decided to throw himself off stage after he already won.
Truly insane. Way to kind of like make us all baited there. But good stuff to Bobby. A little sad we didn't see the Falco, but clearly the Fox is fairly comfortable. I was saying this earlier and kind of we got sidetracked with the match, but just if you're kind of like comfortable in situations where like the Samus sort of like chump checks you, you know, like, oh, like, you're supposed to shield here, you're supposed to spot dodge there, you're supposed to like do a retreating kind of drift, otherwise X happens. And in most cases, Bobby was doing that, was aware of like the Samus cheese, for lack of a better word.
No, that was great, and it shows that kind of thing is not like a character versus Samus specific thing. It's just anyone versus Samus. They can really benefit from knowing those small little micro situations. It really gave Bobby the edge, even with his secondary Fox.
Yeah, I mean, and those things apply to kind of like lots of matchups where, like, you know, just certain things you do. Like an example, you know, as a Puff player, like in the Falco Puff matchup,